Aloha and welcome to the Icons and Experts podcast with my first guest, Original Genie. Hey, Original Genie from Clapper.
Thanks for Brian.
Really appreciate you being here. And it's awesome that Genie had the ability to come be the first guest today because so much has happened in the last few weeks. We've changed our entire way of operating, our entire mindset in our business, which how often does that happen, Jeannie, where you change everything you know in a month?
Hopefully not often, because it's been a lot, Brian.
So we've got a great new podcast here, and what I'm doing on even numbered episodes is I'm featuring icons and experts. Now, these are industry leaders, people who are making an impact on the internet, building communities, and Jeannie is one of the very best people that I work with. She's like my favorite collaborator. I don't want to make anyone jealous, so I'll just say one of my favorite collaborators. Jeannie's just awesome. She has influence and she posts things. She's able to inspire, motivate, educate people. I love the way she thinks. I also love that she's an action-oriented, awesome person. And really cool that we have a few people joining us. We got Terry Wilson. Hey, Terry, great to see you here. And Susan Wigley, another one of our favorite community members and leaders. Susan is awesome too. So thank you for joining in. We'll be watching the comments. So feel free to chime in. If you're listening to the archive of this, it'll be on Spotify, it'll be on YouTube, it'll be all over the place. So we'll get started. Just quickly, what are we going to be talking about today? Well, we're going to talk about building your audience and your community, which are really the same thing, just different ways of the audience interacting. But building that across multiple platforms. We've kind of been stung. We had our hand slapped. We got a wake-up call, whatever you want to call it, recently, where we realized the fundamental importance of this. So this is part of our sort of healing of the pain that we've experienced. But we say that in jest because life has changed and we understand, moving forward, it's always exciting moving forward. So Jeannie, could you just tell us a little bit about what caused both you and I, because we had a similar experience, to say, you know what, we really need to be on more than one platform than just Facebook, which is what we'd focused on before.
Yeah. So, well, like me, Brian, you have had a lot of success with Facebook, right? Mm-hmm. And, Facebook was like the place for a good amount of time. And I got super comfortable. I got super in my comfort zone with, stuff being easy on Facebook. It was working. And then I started to notice a decline. I started to see that posts weren't getting the same amount of views, the same amount of comments, events, lives weren't getting the same number of people showing up. And it wasn't just me. I was seeing it, across the board, my clients, other people as well. So I went out looking. I was like, okay, I got to solve this problem, because you can see the maturity of the platform, right? You can see it quickly going into MySpace territory, right? We don't have enough young people using the platform,
right?
So it was like, we got to do something about this. And so I went off into TikTok land, hoping to, start to build an audience there, just so I could be less reliant on Facebook. That's all it was about at the time. Just want to be less reliant on it. Well, my timing was perfect because I decided to start TikTok about a week before all of the stuff started swirling about, getting shut down and getting banned and all this stuff. So I'm like, great. Facebook doesn't work anymore. TikTok's getting ready to be banned, right? Just screw it. Basically my entire business is just, right? What am I going to do, And I kind of got stuck there for a minute, kind of in that space, of just, oh crap, how am I going to figure this out? And but I asked for a little guidance because I was, I'm someone who I've done a ton of mindset work, and something that I set for myself for this year is that there were basically two mantras that I was going to keep, and one was let it be easy, and the other one is solutions are easy to find. So.
Really great mantras.
They're pretty powerful, right? And so I had to sit there for a few minutes and repeat those mantras and really center myself because I was kind of spinning. And so I'm like, all right, Jeannie, you got this. Solutions are easy to find. Solutions are easy to find. And, I just quieted myself and I got the inspiration to make a post about this. Now, this isn't something I would normally post about on TikTok. It's kind of off brand for me or whatever. So, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm just going to follow that, that inspiration. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I made the post and quite a few people responded back. You should check out Clapper. And I'm like, what the heck is Clapper? I've never heard of this thing. If I haven't heard of it, it can't possibly be that.
No, it's no good.
If I don't know about it, it can't be that great, right? But Brian, have you ever had that where you just know, where you have that inner knowing, where you're just like, there's something here, and that's how it felt. So I decided to, look into it. And that's right around the time that I think I called you. I think it was like my first or second day on Clapper that I called you to tell you what was going on.
I know exactly what you mean by the inner knowing, because honestly, the last time I had it really this strongly was when I discovered Facebook in 2007. And then everyone in the world told me about TikTok. I just didn't want to do it. I didn't like the feeling of the platform. So just a coincidental story here I came to this point where I said, there's got to be something else. And I was like the frog in the pot of water where, the heat was just turning up and I was starting to boil with it, but I hadn't noticed that I'm in this precarious situation, right? All of a sudden I looked around and said, man, this is like dangerous. It's awful. They've taken it. It doesn't work anymore, right? And I was feeling the stress of that because my mind goes to problem solving. I'm not a quitter. I'm a doer. I'm just going to be better. I'm going to be more efficient. But I've been focused on that for years. So, how can you 10 times your efficiency? You just can't. It's broken. So there was a funny moment where I said, what am I not seeing? I need to find the new thing. What is it? And Genie Lang called me an hour later. Within that hour, I don't know the exact time. It was very quickly. She said, Brian, you got to check this Clapper out. I just discovered it. And, the rest is history. I had a few questions about it. She didn't know all the answers at that time. She just discovered it. Within 10 minutes, I called her back and said, okay, Jeannie, this is it. Let's do it. And we were both, from that point forward, including today, super excited about Clapper, So before we move on from this Facebook topic, I just want to capture sort of one more point here, Jeannie, and I wanted your opinion on this. I think it's important for our viewers. What were the warning signs that you and I have talked about that we kind of ignored, although we had this intention like, yeah, I know, I'll get to it. Can you talk about that? I mean, what was that?
Yeah. Because I think we both saw the writing on the wall with Facebook probably before we saw it.
Yeah.
Like in retrospect, I can see that point, but at the time, like I was sort of the frog in the water like you were. So I think the first thing was we just started seeing so many lower views and so many more ads. Like how many ads are you seeing when you scroll your page, right? It's one ad after the other. So it's like my posts and your posts and everyone else's posts are competing with ads. And we know who wins that game.
Spot,
Right? Pay to play, right? So that was the first thing is pay to play. Once it was really clear that they really want to prioritize ads. Okay, so now we have problems. And then they put the squeeze on even more because they recently announced that they're going to be paying less for Reels. So it's like when you start to see those kinds of things, those are some of the warning signs. Some other ones are younger people aren't using the platform. So it's not going to grow. And they haven't been embracing short form video. Reels on Facebook, not the thing. Like Instagram, they're kind of okay, but like they're not really capturing that Reels culture on Facebook. And it's not attracting young people. So it's just dying. It's like it hit its peak. And now it's just on a downward spiral. So.
And they have to squeeze as much as they can because they know it's dying. They're losing it, So make as much money as they can. So they're having to do this. I'll just say that I've been on Facebook for 15 years and I've watched that trend since the beginning. As soon as they switch from organic to ads, I've watched them every year take more reach from us. And I've been okay with it because I understand that's what they're going to do. But man, the past couple months, I really feel abused. I really
Yeah.
feel like this was bad faith. Like they just really raped us and took, like, losing 5% of something's one thing, but when they just take half or 2/3 of it, like, it's greed. So when you said, like when you feel the right thing and our intuition and all, man, I just have a really bad taste in my mouth, because,
Yeah.
there's a difference in dealing with Facebook. It's funny with Meta, when you do the ads, they don't even let you do the ads the way that an advertiser would want to.
Nope.
They deliberately make the ad platform shitty and impossible because they don't want even the advertisers to make money. They look at it like, let's bankrupt someone from trying and then someone will replace them. Whereas all the other ad platforms, they want you to make money because you're a repeat customer. It's a different mindset. So now that we're getting our aggression out and
our I hate Facebook moment.
but really, I don't want to misrepresent what we're saying. Look, if you've built your audience on Facebook, then by all means, you can still contact that audience, and however many people you can reach there, there's certainly a value to that. What we're suggesting is, regardless of where you're at with Facebook, we're just inviting you that there's more growth opportunities elsewhere, and it's going to be more stable. Like, we felt this thing of just relying on Facebook. So what's it been like since we moved over to Clapper? So Clapper is this exciting new place. Can you just describe it, Jeannie? I don't want to take.
Oh my gosh. Breath of fresh air. Like, that's the thing. We were actually talking about how much we were loving Clapper in one of my group calls last week because we're all having so much fun. So what happens on Clapper is that right now, every single one of your followers gets notified when you make a post or go live. Every single one. Not 30%, not 1%, which is what we're seeing on Facebook right now. All of them.
Can we pause that? Seriously, how insane is it that we've allowed, like, okay, if I have 1,000 followers, 10 of them are going to see something, 1% or one. Like, how is it that we ever allowed ourselves to think that was worth our time? Seriously.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it's mind boggling when you can go over to another platform and get 100%.
Yeah. If I email someone on my list, 100% go to their inboxes. Some might be in spam, some might be in the promo, but like, everyone gets it.
Yeah.
I post on Facebook, 12 out of 1,000 see it. Even see the notification. Like, how did any of us just pretend that was going to be a sustainable plan?
Because there wasn't another option. There was not a better option.
Yeah.
Until now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to disrupt that, but that's such an important point.
Oh yeah, no, because it changes everything. Because what's happening now is people are coming over on Clapper and getting seen.
Yeah.
For the first time.
Christine here. In her first week, she's getting 6.3K views in a video. She's blowing up. She's doing it, right?
Yeah.
Like, she didn't have a big audience there. None of us did. We just went and organically blew up,
Yeah. And so for Christine to be able to reach 1,000 people with her message, because she has over 1,000 followers now, to reach 1,000 people with her message, the same exact message she's been sharing on Facebook and not reaching anywhere near 1,000 people. I mean, huge. So for the first time, people are actually getting seen. Their content is getting out there. People are responding to it. People are commenting. They're able to have conversations. People are showing up to their live events. They're excited to be there. There's actual activity and connection happening that wasn't happening on Facebook.
And I just, I want to make this connection for anyone who wasn't around and you don't remember Facebook when it started. When I went on Facebook, if I made a post and I had 5,000 friends, I got 5,000 friends quickly, 5,000 people had that notification at the top of their feed. There weren't ads, right? And that's what made Facebook what it is. It connected people that you haven't seen since high school. It actually let you do all of that, so we're seeing the same thing happen again. We're seeing that level of excitement. So what's the future look like of something like that? Well, we already have a couple examples, like all the social media things that blew up started that way, So I think all of us that are there, we have this hope and this belief that Clapper is something like really special. What's your take on that, Jeannie? Because a lot of us, it's really hard to predict the future. None of us can do that.
Right.
How do we know that this is worth our time now?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think one of the most interesting things that I heard about Clapper early on were people saying, this reminds me of TikTok 2020. So people who were in on TikTok on the early days or in the 2020 timeframe, they found rapid growth because the platform was wide open and they were able to grow really, really quickly. It was the Wild West. And the same exact people who did that in 2020, I am seeing who now have 50, 70 more thousand followers on TikTok who are coming over to Clapper and saying the exact same thing. They're saying, this is TikTok 2020 all over again. I've already lived this. This is it. And I can't tell you, I have heard it over and over and over again. So to hear people who've, just went through that a few years ago that are seeing the exact same pattern over and over again, that to me is telling me good things. But more than that, more than just anecdotal evidence, we can see that it's trending in the App Store. It has been for about almost 2 months now. And we can see the Google trends. If you go look up the Google trends and see the steep incline there on the searches for Clapper. So all signs are pointing to go on Clapper right now.
Well, there's that. And there's also, we've brought some of our clients over. And when you watch all your friends blow up who really struggled, like Shannon Zellner, awesome woman. She's in the last year, she's like my favorite new person that I met, one of them. We just bonded, right? And she really struggled to get attention on Facebook. And she deserves it. Man, she's one of the ones on Clapper. She's going nuts right now. And it's awesome to watch because beyond just seeing numbers and she's got a following, cool, people are paying attention. It's like a new lease on life. I can see her finally feeling like, wow, I matter, it's finally reaching the people that she knows that she could reach.
That's the cool thing about Clapper is that because there's so much opportunity to actually be seen, you can actually be seen. Your people can find you and they can receive your message in a way that they never could before.
I want to bring this up that Joey mentioned. She's another member of our community. So if you're on Clapper with me and Jeannie, you'll know these people because they're community members. I was invited to Clapper a year and a half ago and junked it. And I'm glad you suggested it again. And my trust in you gave me more incentive. So that's a really valuable point. The people who arrive on Clapper and see what it can do and are the believers, well, we invite our friends and that snowballs this effect of, that's why the Google trend's happening, And you had mentioned TikTok 2020. Yeah, for me, it's Facebook 2007. You know the signs because you've seen it before. You've felt it. It's an energy and it's also kind of, okay, I know what this looks like.
Yeah, I've been here before. It's like I've done this before and it just has that feeling to it. And like you said, all these people are coming over and we're inviting our people. So some of these people who've come over from TikTok, people like Gary Vee who've come over, who are bringing tens of thousands with them when they come. And so that's why we're seeing this platform grow so rapidly because every time an influencer realizes the opportunity, they're bringing their audience with them.
Okay, now we're getting into something really interesting. Jeannie, how can Gary Vee bring over 30,000 people in a month he follows 0 people, right? He's posted some content. He's commented, I think last time I checked, on one thing that I can see, because you can look at what someone comments on. How does Gary Vee do something like that?
So I think that this comes down to understanding that your community is not a place, but rather your community is boundaryless, really, because your community isn't just a Facebook group. Your community is all of your social media. So Gary has a community that follows him on other social media that across channels. Gary has a community that's listening to his podcast, that's reading his emails. That's the community, not the location. The community is the group of people. And so all he did was give them a new venue.
How many of us have thought about our community as our Facebook group? I have, right? But yeah, like we said, the community is boundaryless. And as a community leader, where does the community happen, Jeannie? Like, where does the community?
Where two or more are gathered.
Where two or more are gathered, right? Yeah, the church is all of us, right? It's not the building.
But it is. The community happens whenever people get together, wherever that venue is. So right here, we're getting together on YouTube. But that doesn't mean the community's on YouTube. That's just the venue for today's event.
Well, as the leader, you're the gatekeeper. You're the one that actually determines where the community's going to meet, don't you? So I created a podcast. I said, I'm going to go on YouTube live. And now here we are, right? Doing this and having this conversation with Jeannie to endow you with that mindset and that understanding. So one thing that I just wanted to mention is, if you think about everyone that you can contact, email, send a direct message to, whatever that number is, add it up, right? That's the size of your community on any platform. So if you don't have a YouTube channel, but you have 300 people on your email list, guess what? You have a YouTube channel with 300 subscribers. Because all you got to do is send them an email and say, hey, watch my video. And just like on YouTube, all your subscribers won't watch all your videos, but they'll all get the notification. This is powerful. The problem was we trusted if you were relying on Facebook and you didn't build your email list, which how glad are you built your email list, Jeannie?
Oh my gosh.
Saving grace, right?
My email list is saving me right now, Brian.
But both of us wished we would have tripled down when we only kind of did it what we needed to do. We would have been more serious about that.
Yeah, I didn't take it as seriously as I should have. And that's changing now.
And the other thing is, does it make sense to build a community where, and I want your opinion on this, Jeannie. Okay, like on Facebook, if I'm going to build a community, I'm inviting people to it, investing my energy in it. Now we're on this platform where everyone wanted to be there because of this shared vision, shared purpose. But now, and I'm not saying this like just to be about Facebook. I'm like saying, let's look at the signs for if we see this happen again in the future to protect ourselves. But with all those ads and distractions, all that noise, like, is that morally cool to be doing to our people?
Oh, to be like moving them around, you mean?
Well, no, today my podcast, it's on YouTube. Now, when you're on YouTube, you're not really inundated the same way with ads. Like Facebook is like really a barrage, right? But if I were to have it on a Facebook Live, it's going to have all those distractions. You're going to be on there with people sending you messenger messages during the thing.
Yep.
And I'm just saying, is that cool to be doing to people?
Yeah, it's not the best experience for our people, right? I mean, we basically don't have control over the experience they're having.
Yeah. And are there other platforms where there aren't ads, where our community can actually get together?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's think of some. Okay. Where are all the places on the internet where we could announce, hey, our community is getting together here next, that don't have that level of distraction, where we're not competing with like ads and all this stuff for like the small piece. We'll just limit it to where can 100% of our audience know about it and get it?
Email,
number one, primary, because look, why is email the best, Jeannie?
I mean, look, email, you have 100% control over. I mean, obviously you can't control whether they open it or it goes to spam, but you control the message and everything in it and all the links, anything you want your people to see, it's 100% what you want.
Email is also an aggregator. So if I have someone find me on YouTube, they subscribe to my email. If they find me on Facebook, they're on my email list. If they're on Clapper, they're on my email list. Then I can tell everyone, hey, the party's happening on Clapper. So that's also why it's the most powerful, because everything else grows it. Okay, where else? Do you want me to give one? I'll give one, you give one?
Yeah, sure.
So for my clients, I use a platform called Basecamp. So I invite people there. Everyone who logs into Basecamp gets all of my messages. So for the people who want messages from me, They get it all there. That's another place, ad-free. We're there to do what we do together. What's another one?
That's perfect, because I just moved all of my client communities off Facebook because I was running my client communities and Facebook groups. And I just moved mine over to Geneva, which is kind of similar to Discord. So if you're familiar with Discord, it's a similar idea. But same thing, everyone gets all my notifications and everything is all in one place.
Discord's another good one. Everyone under 30 is on Discord and there's no ads there. You've built a community there. Your people are actually together interacting, voice chat, text, all this good stuff. And there's not ads in the way. There's no one saying, nah, you know what, Brian, for every 30 messages you post, I'll share it with someone.
It just sounds so absurd when you say it, even though like that was normal like a month ago.
It's nuts because all those people became my friend or followed me because they wanted to know what I posted.
Yeah.
Like, why did thousands of people join my groups? They wanted to be a part of that community. So I feel like it's a moral obligation that we have a place where our community can actually be together.
Absolutely.
Because what's the point of that not being able to be possible? So are there any more? I'm sure there's others like it, right? Oh, hey, Jeannie, since you're the expert on this, the new queen, what's the one that we didn't mention yet? Well, we did earlier, but not.
Well, Clapper.
Clapper.
Right. Definitely Clapper. Yeah, I was going to say that one next. Kind of almost the obvious one, but yeah, 0 ads. And at least right now, 100% notifications. Is that going to change in the future? Probably. But we're going to take advantage of it right now.
So on Clapper, the nice thing is, and we're going to be going live on Clapper like an hour after this podcast episode is over. And the cool thing is when Jeannie and I go live on Clapper for the after party. So when you're seeing my live interviews on this podcast, the after party happens on Clapper, at least at this point in time. Might change in the future. Mm-hmm. Who knows? But when Jeannie and I go live on Clapper, it's going to show it to all of our people and a bunch of new people every time.
That's right. A bunch of new people every time.
Bunch of new people every time. I love your post, Jeannie, that was on Facebook a couple days ago. Okay, well, I don't want to spoil it. Can you tell me that story? Because you have this post, it's blue. I'll let you say what the post says because the post blew up, which is unusual for Facebook nowadays for something to blow up.
So the irony, the irony of this being the post, and I was actually going to go look to just double check. Okay, this is what it says. I can't go live here anymore. So yesterday I went live on Clapper and had 600 views. When one door opens, many more open.
And I just want to point out, Jeannie going live on Clapper, getting 600 views is something you could do.
Yeah, it's not that remarkable, honestly.
Like we can all do that. In fact, when I had half the followers I have now, I went live and got 750, and that kind of thing's happening all the time. Shannon's doing it, Christine's doing it, everyone here watching pretty much, I think, is doing something like that, or about to in Susan Wigley's case, since she's just getting on today. The cool thing I want to point out is that Christine got to 1,000 followers faster than Jeannie or I, because we went first. We figured out what worked. We shared it with all of you. Like I've recorded a lot of Clapper tips. So is Jeannie. I've told my email list about it, and we've said, do this first. In fact, when I got on the Clapper, I waited about 2 days because Jeannie said, well, when you get on, you're going to have to do this and this. And I'm like, I can't do that right now. So I waited and I prepared, and then I came on and I caught up to Jeannie pretty quickly, but only because I had her help, So if you're on Clapper and you're in our communities, I'm at Coach Mentor on Clapper, and Jeannie is at Original Jeannie. And if you're in our communities, then you're getting that kind of help, which will skyrocket your success, right? You'll be able to do it faster. Christine blew us both away. She did it in half the time, but I love that.
Oh, absolutely. I want to see people even doing better than that. You know what I mean? I love it.
my money is on vibrant holistic health.
Yep.
And life coaching. Susan Wigley, my money's on her doing it the fastest yet. Because as we work together, as we collaborate, we're actually helping each other blow up quicker, because when it's organic, it's like right now, since Jeannie and I, we're like the nucleus of this hub. So our support actually helps you connect with our community really quickly, you know? And Susan Wigley is saying, I hope so. I'll say I know so because I know you. What do you think, Jeannie?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's no question in my mind. That's then the fun thing about bringing people over to Clapper is like already like people like Susan, people like Christine, like Shannon, I had ideas in my head for them before they even joined the platform. And so whenever they join, it's like, yay, we get to play now.
Yeah, it's party time. It's on. It's just wonderful. It's really cool. So we've been talking this whole time about community, audience, but I just wanted to take a moment because we talk about this a lot. And since we're marketing experts and people who do this for so long, we understand the value of community. But Jeannie, let me just get your take on this. Why is having an audience and building a community important? And is there a difference?
There is, because, and this was being taught probably really big about 2 or 3 years ago, but the kind of the high ticket strategy, where we were bringing in loads of leads and using really high pressure sales techniques, right? Getting people on the phone and like, got to sign up right now and not telling them the price and, all of these like shaming and all of this stuff going on. So what would happen was you would bring in all these leads, right? And you would close some sales, and you'd make some money, and you would have burned all of those leads. Everyone who didn't sign up with you, the hundreds of people who didn't sign up with you now did not like you anymore because you had basically done this whole, salesman, whatever thing to them and pressured them into buying. And when they said no, it was hell no. And so then you were starting over. Every single time you wanted to try to sell, you had to go and bring in hundreds more leads all the time.
And is that easy to do?
No. And especially if you're not a marketer, like if this is new to you, that's even harder. So what was happening is no one was getting any traction because people couldn't bring in these leads all the time. And it just, the whole thing fell apart, right? Because the problem was they weren't building communities. They were literally just bringing in leads, and that was it. And when you have a community, you have a group of people who are actually going to buy from you over and over and over again. People who are actually going to stick around. And just because they didn't say yes to this offer doesn't mean they're not going to say yes to the next offer. And so they actually want to be a part of it because not only what they're getting from you, but what they're actually getting from the community itself.
And that's a big deal. The community itself has value that complements and transcends the value you can create on your own. So for instance, in my Clapper group, which is on my profile, Impact and Income, and on Jeannie's, which is on her profile, Community Builders, I mean, people are connecting with other people to go live with. They're connecting with people to go radio with because, we've been teaching strategies on how to do that. But it's like a bonanza. Like, there's no way I can keep up with it, so I would love to be there and support all of you. But I mean, I have to have peace of mind, right? Like I can't be awake 24/7, but it's awesome to see it. And the beautiful thing is as this community builds, I don't have to be there for all of it. So Shannon and I did an interview a little while ago. Now she's out doing it with many people. She's got this following that she's growing. So in a couple of weeks, if I do another interview with Shannon, then her community that she's built will know about me and I'll get to meet them, So Absolutely. Like, it's so cool to see people getting that level of excitement and like something clicks. And like Chad Oxtat, who's another marketer, I see him. He just joined like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And you can start to see through his videos, I see his excitement building, So maybe he's watching this because he just subscribed to my YouTube channel, I think like a day or two ago.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. While we're on the subject of YouTube channel, Jeannie, it's pretty cool. I just saw your brand new YouTube channel. I might be the first person who's seen it because there's a fresh new banner.
Yep.
And I love green's my favorite, but man, it's got a cool energy. I really like the feeling of that banner. I really love what the message is, but there's no subscribers. This is a virgin, like there's no videos. So what's going to be happening there? Can you explain, what's coming? Because for the audience listening, whatever Genie Lang is doing, that's the place to be. I'm there, you know?
Well, thanks, Brian. Yeah. So it's like the concept we were talking about earlier of the boundaryless, and I can't even say it, the boundaryless community. Because as much as I absolutely love Clapper, there is one thing, and that is that the lives and the radios are not recorded. So if someone misses an event, there isn't a place for them to get the replay. And so I decided that my community needs to also have a YouTube venue, essentially. So we're going to have a place on YouTube where we can have the recordings of our live videos. So we'll be doing a live show there starting next week. And that's called BU Live. And this show is all about entrepreneurs who dare to be themselves online. So we'll be able to get all the replays there on YouTube. And also, one of the things that my community always really loved were my training videos, my tutorials. And while I can do some of those on Clapper, I'm limited to 3 minutes, right? So if I want to do something a little bit longer, I need a place for that. And YouTube is the perfect place to keep all of those videos so that when people need that resource, they can just log on really quick and get it.
And I just want to mention this because it's part of what prevented me from doing a YouTube channel sooner, take it seriously sooner, is I looked at this like, oh man, there's this big platform, got this huge algorithm I have to understand and battle and win against. And I don't feel like doing all that because I'm already busy with what I'm already doing. But I had this really profound realization is how many people do I have on my YouTube channel, even if it's brand new? Genie, there's 0 subscribers. We want to ask for the number, but how many people will see the stuff you put on YouTube at a minimum?
At a minimum, the number on my email list.
Everyone on their email list. And anyone who you tell about it on Clapper who may see that. And where else? If you make posts on Facebook, even though they may not, probably won't be seen.
Yeah, they might see it on Facebook. They might see it on TikTok.
Some of them will too, TikTok as well. Cool.
And some people are going to see it from your podcast or this.
Some people are coming from the podcast. That's another resource here. So as you follow this podcast, this is a little bit different of a podcast. The guests on this podcast are actually a community called the Icon Network. So we're actually here to help promote you, help you spread your communities. So you'll see interactive community-based activities happening. And again, on even numbers, it's community members that we want to highlight and have you get to know them, and they can share their knowledge and wisdom with you about how you can lead and build your own communities. And on odd numbers, it's my PhD ongoing masterclass of just what I can teach you on this subject. It goes so deep. And I felt like I owed it to the people who cared, who want to know that it's out there. You had mentioned earlier, Jeannie, you needed an archive. YouTube was like your archive.
Yeah.
I've hosted over 400 live events on Facebook in the last 15 years. And if you know me, they're always over time. It's always over an hour when it's intended to be one. And I have so much training, thousands of hours of training, like no joke, at least 2,000 hours of training sitting on a hard drive in a long forgotten format, collecting digital dust, because I've been doing this for 20 some years, and I just realized we need to have the archive of this for the people who would benefit from it. It's not doing anyone any good on that hard drive.
That's right.
And it's also sort of so old that maybe it doesn't make sense to try to resurrect it. But yeah, how powerful is it to build that archive where someone who wants to know this stuff can come get it,
Yeah. And think about even on Facebook, your videos just don't live very long, right? Yeah, you can drive traffic to recording, but it's not like YouTube where people are going to search how to get started on Clapper and find your video. It doesn't work that way.
This is why we do interviews. I wouldn't have thought to say that. That's so cool. Look, the difference on Facebook, you post it on Facebook and it has a spike. You get a bunch of views and then it rapidly declines and goes to 0, right? Or sorry, I'm thinking backwards. So Facebook starts spike and then rapidly goes back down to 0.
Yep.
YouTube's the other way around. It kind of starts off slow, but then it has this momentum that can build with certain videos over time. Like if you have a good one that's watched where people finish it because it's great content, that can actually start to be like every month, it'll be predictable. It'll get its 100 views a month. And if you start to have 50 or 100 of those over time, you start to get your reliable traffic. 5,000 new people a month are going to see your stuff. And that's already built. It's already there. Difference being YouTube's a search engine. It's the second one after Google. People search for what they're looking for. There's intent. Facebook, it shows up and, you were lucky enough that it showed up for them, but they weren't necessarily looking for that or ready for it.
Yeah, it just happened. It's like a billboard, right? You just happen to be driving by it, and maybe you saw it.
Yeah. So the targeting is so much better. And I was thinking about this. I'll ask you the question, Jeannie. What's the difference in the value of one email subscriber or one Facebook friend, follower, group member?
Well, I definitely take the email subscriber over the Facebook person, right? Because I have control over actually getting in touch with that person. The Facebook person, I might never see him again. They may never see me again.
Might never see him again. The key difference for me, if I got 1,000 people, because it's hard to think in terms of one. One is pretty much zero. I have to think about 1,000. If I make a post on Facebook, 12 people for every 1,000 will see the notification. 450 will open my email.
That's huge.
That's the difference. And it's, what is that, 77 times better.
Yeah. I'll take that all day long.
That's the difference, So that one email subscriber, hey, 50-50 chance they're going to open that email today. And when I send emails every day for a week, like 85% of my email list will open at least one email from me that week.
Yeah.
There's no way to reach 85% of your Facebook audience every week.
No.
Can't do it.
Well, and good luck actually trying to build an email list off of Facebook, right? Because you either have to take them to an external landing page, right, to go collect it, which you have to jump through some hoops to make that happen, right, on Facebook. Yeah. Or maybe you're asking them for their email when they join your group. Like that, those are the only mechanisms that you can use. But like on a platform like Clapper, people will go to your link. Like people don't go to your link on Facebook. Like the traffic to my link in bio site has been 5 to 10 times higher, and some days even more. But just being conservative and averaging, like just the traffic that is coming to that site where they can sign up for my emails, where they can download my freebie, where they can check out my offers. And I actually have made a couple of sales on Clapper because of that. And no, that doesn't happen on Facebook.
Where can you put your link on Clapper, Jeannie? I know
right in your profile, like right front and center under your picture.
Right under the profile picture. You can also put it in the descriptions of in the comments of your videos, and in your group. You can post a link, it'll work. DMs too. It works in all those places. Again, you don't want to spam it. There's an etiquette. You want to come, be a part of our community, and learn how to do it. But that's all cool. TikTok. Is it 1,000 people have to follow you before you can put a link on it?
Yeah. So on TikTok, you have to have 1,000 followers before you earn the right to have a link. Same thing with going live. You can't go live on TikTok without 1,000 followers. But on Clapper, day one, you can go live. So.
Day one live. And does live help you grow your following? What
tremendously, because the platform is really prioritizing lives. And so what will happen is they will actively show your live to more people than are just following you. So kind of similar to kind of how Facebook does, but they do a way better job. And they actually show it to people and they make them discoverable to the entire community. So usually you get not only new people discovering you during a live, but the algorithm loves it. It's just an algorithm friendly activity for you to be going live. So when I go live, I know I'm going to get approximately 5 times more followers in that next 24 hours than I would if I didn't go live.
And that's been my experience too. It sort of stimulates the algorithm for a while. And I've also noticed I'll pick up 20, 30 followers during a live. Yeah. And if you really pay attention on Facebook, you're getting your followers, people who know you watching your lives. And then on Clapper, it's way different. You get some of those because they're there, but there's brand new people every time right now.
Yeah,
super
every
cool.
time. That's the exciting part, is that I'm meeting new people every single day, and that they're meaningful connections, not just like random, bots or whatever.
So when we wrap this podcast today, we're going to go over to Clapper an hour later. We're going to be live there. Brand new people will discover Genie and I. Brand new people will know that this podcast happened. Mm-hmm. And now that there's an archive of it, they'll get to go watch the episodes that are there. So, good stuff. And that archive, that's the huge key thing, because as coaches, as experts, as community leaders, there's a lot of knowledge that we need to share, that people need to know to kind of understand the values, our philosophies. Like, people are going to resonate with us when they can be in our energy, when they can understand what are we all about. And the archive of that lets someone who's turned on, they discover Genie, they like Genie. Okay, I'm going to go listen to Genie's podcast. Oh, that was a good episode. They can binge it. And in 2, 3, 4 days, Genie's got like a new person. Genie has a new fan. Genie's got a new potential client, And so I'm actually here with Genie, right? Who's one of the Icon community members. She's one of my favorite people that we collaborate with. But Genie, what are your thoughts on this? Because this is like my favorite topic, but I always feel like maybe it's a little more advanced than a lot of people that I come in contact with can understand. So maybe you could break this down. If I go live and I just talk, okay, I have to sell you on my ideas. But like right now, I've brought you here. I've introduced you to my people. What does that do for you, authority-wise?
Well, just by being a guest on the show, right? That just kind of creates instant authority, because you have authority, and everyone who knows you knows that you're not going to bring just some random hack, on your show. So by extension, I sort of get to benefit from your authority. Just even if no one had ever heard of me, the fact that, Brian Campbell endorses me and thinks I'm good enough to bring on his show, that brings me instant credibility to people who know you but don't know me.
Right. And that is something that, can you do that for yourself? Can you introduce yourself?
Not in the same way, not without sounding like, an egotistical jerk, right? Because you can say things that make me sound incredible, that if I were to say those about myself, I just sound like I'm bragging, right? But when you say them, it's like, well, then they must be true, because, Brian's saying them about her.
You get to be humble and say, oh, thanks. But the audience still gets to know how great you are, And right, it wouldn't make sense for you to say it the same way. It just wouldn't. But I can share my fondness for you, and that makes sense, And it doesn't really diminish anything for me. People like to see people helping other people. People like to see, look, you've seen Genie. Many of you know Genie. Am I lying? Is she not awesome as I'm saying she is, right? We know she is, right? So it's just a cooler way to be, And that's a really important point to me to bring home is, okay, so Genie gets to come and be introduced. And like she said, Brian has authority. Whatever authority I have, like when I introduce Genie has okay, now my people know who Genie is. But it took me a long time to cultivate that. I've been doing this for years, right? Many of you have known me for years now, right? So, but that's a shortcut for Genie or for you, right? Susan Wigley's coming on the Clapper this week, and she gets to meet through me and Genie, everyone Genie and I know. And are we going to make a big deal about her entrance, Genie?
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah. So how many people that Susan doesn't know yet are going to find out about her really soon?
So many. It's exciting.
Yeah. So that's just going to give her a lift, give her a boost, And that's what we've seen with Shannon and Susan and Joey and everyone who's watching this live today, So it's an awesome place to be. And look in the comments. Okay, so just so everyone knows, for the record, so you can see it, right? This is documented proof. Genie is awesome. Okay, if you're listening to the podcast, you can go find the thing on YouTube, but I've actually shared it on the screen. Jeannie's awesome. Okay.
It's in writing. So it must be true. It's in writing. It's on the internet. It's got to be true.
And we've both said how smart and wonderful Susan is. And Susan says, I need to subscribe to your channel, Jeannie. So,
well, if Susan says that she needs to subscribe, then other people need to subscribe because Susan's really smart. So they should.
I think Susan's wisdom needs to be honored, appreciated, and followed.
I think so too.
Because it's holistic health and life coaching. It's the whole life, man. All of the facets, it all works together. I love the word holistic. I feel like it's been overused, but I still love it.
I know, me too. I love it.
Because, it's holistic means that my right hand and my foot and my liver and my kidneys all matter. Like I'm not at war against my body to attain enlightenment. No, we have to work with the whole system needs to work, and it goes beyond the body. As communities, our whole system needs to work.
Yes, right? Exactly.
Like Jeannie needs to thrive and prosper for me to thrive and prosper and for all of us too. We all need to be healthy and happy. And that's been my ongoing vision. It's like if everyone around me is doing better than I am, like if everyone has more prosperity and abundance than me, Jeannie, what does that give me access to, whether I have it or not?
That gives you access to abundance.
Right. Like, I don't need to make all the money if I here's a great story. A lot of people fantasize about buying boats and yachts. If you listen to motivational stuff, there's lots of those stories. I never did. I don't want the responsibility. I always wanted friends with boats.
Yeah.
I have 3 really good friends that will take me on a boat anytime I want to. And I don't have to clean it. I don't have to maintain it. And in fact, one good friend on the Wailua River on Kauai, she'll drive us up with her husband, drop us off at this magical hike. Like, you got to live here to know about this. And on the way back, she supplies us with Heineken. So it's not just a free ride. There's Heineken, there's like oranges, she makes a nice little like portable charcuterie board. So that's pretty cool, That's way better known in a boat.
I would say I'm actually a boat owner, Brian. So you can come.
Okay, I've got 4 people.
You got 4 friends now.
Who own boats, right? But there's many ways for it to work out. We get narrow-minded. Oh no, I got to do it this way. And another big lesson. I'd like to invite you, Jeannie. Chad says friends with boats. Hey, glad you can make it, Chad. Chad's another great guy. All part of this interconnected community. But the big concept for me that I'm losing touch with, because I said Chad. Okay, so I lost it for a second. I got to remember Chad, right? Is I forget.
I'm still back on Friends with Boats, I think.
Friends with Boats is so cool, yeah. Well, you're going to forget from time to time. Things don't need to be perfect. It's perfect that Jeannie's here smiling, making me look good when I look stupid. And maybe that's a lesson, You can look stupid. Who cares?
Yeah, who freaking cares, man? It's like, it's real life.
There's a million reasons not to do it. Don't make that an extra one, But bringing people together is so important to me. And here's the thing. Now I remember, and it's worth it. Being on the cutting edge. So if you feel like you're going against stream, uphill, I'll just say that's a warning sign. We've felt it on Facebook for a long time. In fact, over the past year, I've had many warning signs that I've ignored. Guilty as charged. I was put in jail with 2 other admins of my group at the same time. We have no idea why. It was never explained to us, right? We have no clue. For that week, we're like, what did we do? We don't know. For a week, we're in jail. Jeannie was in jail. She didn't do anything to deserve it. She can't broadcast on her profile now. So we've seen these signs of weirdness, right? This is an uphill battle, and it's deceptive because I'm a doer, I'm an achiever, nothing's going to stop me. So I just double down and okay, I'll work harder and I'll spend 2 hours on that instead of 1. And we just make all these compromises. But when we're in that situation anywhere, and you realize it's not working, man, I have to keep working harder for less and less. Here's my commitment, because I've got the lesson finally. There's somewhere else where it's flowing. It's happening. It's easy, right? So Gary Vee, because he's been on all the platforms, he just brings 30,000 people over without doing anything. Because he sent an email, he made a post on Instagram, he posted somewhere else, boom, they're all on Clapper. He's talked very little about it. Well, there's a Chinese parable or whatever saying. It says the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. The next best time is today. So if we get busy planning, it really, when Clapper changes the game on us, and we could just literally throw a switch and say, okay, Clapper's dead. We grew our 100,000 people from here. Let's move them to the new thing. It's easy.
Send an email. Let them know.
Yeah. So now that we're independent, now that we have communities in multiple places, got the email list, got the way to let our people know this is where it's happening, it really won't happen again. Right? Now the next thing is, how do we grow it big and massively and get all this traffic?
That's the big question, right? How do we make this huge? Because there's a huge opportunity here with Clapper.
So the moral of today's story was be independent, be in multiple places, have that stable foundation. And then what do we do next, Janie? What needs to happen after that? You got the foundation. We've got the platform. Okay, now there's a podcast, there's a YouTube channel. What do we do next?
We need content. We need a content strategy.
And we need to promote it. We need new people to find it.
Yeah.
Well, stay tuned to my podcast. I'm talking lots about that. Watch my videos on Clapper, watch my YouTube videos. Jeannie, are you going to be talking about that?
Just a little bit, yes. Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about, in particular, how you are attracting your ideal followers specifically on Clapper, and then how you can move those followers to other platforms and to your email. That'll be the big things that I'm talking about in the next coming weeks.
And what's wild, and it's a big mindset shift for all of us, especially the people who listen to a podcast episode until the end. This is a gift for you. And watch my content. I put gifts everywhere for the people who watch and care. We're operating with real-time data. This is working today. And I'll just tell you from experience, 95 or 8%, a huge number of other marketers can't operate that way. They're showing you 2-year-old data on Facebook groups being the hot thing. I see the ads every day. Now, what they're realizing is, shit, this don't work. So I can't tell anyone because I'm making too much money. So their clients are starting to report back to them, man, like your strategies aren't working. So they'll gaslight them and say, you just need to work harder. Meanwhile, the smart people are figuring out what's the next thing. What's the next thing? They don't want to tell you about it till they have 50 testimonials and all this historical data. I'm just telling you right now, the world we live in does not survive on historical data anymore. It's a big shift we've experienced. Anything that worked 6 months ago is no longer an accurate predictor of what's going to work. The best you can do is, you know what? I just tried this today. Oh my God, this works. Let's do it again tomorrow and see what happens. Or, man, this stuff that you told me was time proven and tested that worked for you for the last 5 years. I just tried it for 3 weeks and nothing, crickets, doesn't work at all. That's the conversation we need to have. And as a community, impossible to figure it all out yourself. I can't do it. Jeannie can't do it. We need each other. So that's what you're getting on this podcast. The real time, this is what's happening. And of course, the timeless stuff that never changes. It's both of that. And I realize that's challenging. How do we know the timeless stuff that we don't need to change? Like relationships and community, always good. But in the context of today, how does that work and how do we grow? We really need to have that community. We need to have that conversation. And, you know, for everyone watching, like, let's not pretend that what we're doing is working when it's not. Let's say, you know what? That's great, Brian. I'm glad that worked for you, not working for me. I need to know about it immediately.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And Jeannie needs to know. We're here to solve that problem. So what we're sharing with you is what's working now, right? And that's the thing. 6 months from now, the data is going to prove it. Oh my God, look what happened. If you wait for the data, it's too late. That's I want to leave everyone with that thought. If you wait for the data, it's too late. Jeannie, what's your final thought?
My final thought is don't let this opportunity pass you by. Because I was that person who let TikTok pass me by. And mostly it was because I just didn't want to do short form video, which was the dumbest reason ever, because I've completely fallen in love with it. And I have to call bullshit on all of my old stories about that. So don't let this opportunity pass you by. Don't be that person in 18 months who's going, man, I should have signed up when I saw that show with Brian and Jeannie.
Great advice. Short form video, here to stay, and it has growth potential. Everything else is dying, that's growing. You need to be on it. Great insight, Jeannie. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being the first guest. People are always going to remember the first. I always remember my first, I mean that in many ways, right? The first person who turns you on to a good thing, So,
yeah, no, thanks for having me, Brian. It was really cool. And I'm honored to be your first.
Yeah, it had to be Jeannie. It wasn't going to be anyone else. So I had to force her to do it. And I didn't have
it
to
was so hard to talk me into it, guys. I mean, it is impossible to get me on camera these days. I don't know.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you on camera a lot more. And I'm glad that you have that mindset, Jeannie, because every time you show up, gold is delivered. It's mined.
Well, thank you, Brian.
Well, aloha to everyone who watched. Thank you for being here. And I look forward to seeing you in the communities and on future episodes of Icons and Experts podcast. Aloha.